ages. It can take 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you just keep on going. And I don't even know where to go from. I'm just trying to record.
We're recording. So listen, if you're done with your little preamble here, we got some serious stuff to talk about here, man.
What do we got, man? Because I think there was look, man, over the weekend, we keep up with the Twitter. Maybe we're not as much active, commenting on people's stuff that much, but we do keep with the Twitter, guys, and a lot of things have been happening in the community, man. So let's kick off this intervention here, man.
Yeah, 100%. So look, man, there has been a lot of FUD from different elements of the Hex community recently in regards to Hadron and liquid loan. So I really think it's valuable to make a video, maybe addressing some of the concerns, some of maybe what's probably FUD. Because look, man, if the Hex community hasn't realized it yet, breaking news, there's going to be more than just Hex on the Pulse chain. And we need to become comfortable with the reality that more than just Hex.
Can I tell you what's happening? Can I tell you what's happening?
Please.
I think the Hex community has, there's a lot of trauma, obviously, from the past 2 years with everyone, calling it a scam. And the whole Hex community has to fight for that, and fighting the stigma and all the stuff behind it, and all the negative bullet points, or the people trying to prove whether Hex is a scam or no. Now new projects come in, and then everyone's talking about this as well, and there's a lot of people that have been led astray before with scams in general and all that. And I think majority of the FUD's coming from the big influencers in the Hex community, trying to deter new people from getting scammed, but along the way they're also deterring the good developers, right? And they're getting the flex. So
and look, I think there's a lot of good legitimate concern. It's good to think about game theory and how Hex would be potentially negatively affected, but at a certain point there are certain things that do cross the line of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and so I think it needs to be addressed. So we'll talk about some of the stuff in regards to Hadron. We'll talk about some of the stuff in regards to liquid loans. Now I think it might make sense to first focus on Hadron, because over the weekend there was a lot of kerfuffle, a lot of FUD, lots of drama in the Hex community, a little bit more than usual in regards to Matty Allen, very popular, very well-known Hex influencer. He seems like a very good guy, but he went on to say some very I don't know how to describe it.
I would say maybe let's just say there's a lot of concerns that he had, and I think he kind of probably went to the deep end when it comes to that. And the community came up and we looked at the codes and stuff, and it turns out that it's not really as bad, but it's definitely things that the whole community's been concerned about, and that's with the emergency unstaking, like the OA emergency unstaking your thing, or forking you out of the new blockchain coming up, right? So go ahead, man.
Right. Yeah. So look. So Matty did spread some FUD about Hadron, but why don't we hear him out? Why don't we hear exactly what he had to say, and then we'll comment further.
In response to a malicious fork like Hadron or any other user-activated soft fork, I think it is highly likely that the OA will fork out those bad actors by basically giving them a balance that's equivalent to what they would have gotten if they emergency end staked. We can see on the blockchain how long you were supposed to be staked, and the value proposition of Hex says that you can't take your value early, or you get to give it up to everybody who remains staked. It's something called the truth engine. Very easy to forget about this when you're bored or listening to people who have a conflict of interest. I think people are very motivated to lie and take advantage of Hex users. And remember, it is the user's responsibility to follow the rules of the consensus network. So I know that this might be beyond some people's technical understanding. I mean, for me, it even took me a while to really pin down what my concerns were, but yep, this is it. We have a winner. Okay, so how is this bullish AF for Hex? Well, here's an opportunity for everybody who's impatient to raise their hand on the blockchain and say, emergency end stake me, OA, I don't know what I'm doing. There are gonna be so many crybabies whenever they are trying to steal value from.
Damn, man.
All right, so look, that's quite a long clip. We're not going
It
to show
is.
the whole thing. Look, man. So maybe before we comment, just to provide a bit of context. So Matty Allen was basically saying that look, Hadron is a malicious fork of Hex because whenever you can extract value out of a Hex stake early, you are going against what Hex is all about. And so because of that, he is suggesting that the Hex origin address may emergency unstake Hex stakers, that they might be forked out of the Pulse chain. I'm not sure exactly what he's trying to get at here, but what I can say, man, is that if the Hex origin address did anything like he's suggesting, fork Hadron minters out of Pulse chain or emergency end stake Hex stakers who mint Hadron. I don't know about you, man, but in my opinion, that would completely destroy the Hex community.
Look, man, I like Matty. I always liked him. I think he's a very good guy, but there's something here that I think we went too much to the deep end. Sometimes, you're dabbling, you're kind of testing the waters and shallow waters. If anything goes wrong, you're still, but when you go too deep, things get very, murky. I think Matty's trying to do well by Hex and the Hex community, doesn't want them to get scammed and all that. But again, we can't say that the OA is going to step in or intervene in any of this. I think that's dangerous to say. We were in the Twitter spaces at one point, and we also voiced that as well. That was over the weekend. We talked about, look, there's going to be tens, if not hundreds of thousands of projects that are going to come into Pulse chain, scams or non-scams. All of them are going to have some sort of utility being ran in whatever they're running. And for us, this is the first couple of projects that we're looking here. And things are looking, we're trying. I don't think the OA will do that. I think the OA and Hex in general are Richard is very smart to not deter new developers away with this. And in case that happens, and the OA, I don't know, for some sort of crazy backdoor does this, then you're right. That would be the end of Hex. And I don't think Richard is that is gonna allow that to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so, man. Look, how many Hex users would that alienate? I mean, I bet you a lot of Hex users are going to want to mint free value by minting Hadron for free. If the Hex origin address were to fork us out or emergency end stake you, that would massively alienate the Hex user base. That would completely deter developers from even touching the Pulse chain ecosystem if their users can just be massively screwed over on a whim from Richard Hart or the origin address.
Bad, man.
So look, man, like you mentioned, Matty Allen's a good guy. He's done a lot of good work in the Hex community, which is why we feel the need to address this, because this is so crazy. Maybe the Hex origin address could do this theoretically, but it just doesn't seem like it doesn't seem something that would likely happen. And we also have, a tweet here from Alex from Hadron talking about how the Hex code does not allow for this. So this is a really, truly fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So we have a tweet here from Tams directed at Alex, the founder of Hadron, saying, "Dear Alex, you are a skilled developer. Could you have a look at the Hex contract code and confirm for us that the end stake function can only be called by the user himself? That would end the at Matty Allen FUD. He is saying that the origin address could EES emergency end stake stakes of people who claimed Hadron." So Alex from Hadron goes on to say, "See actual Hex code below. You pass the index and ID number of a stake to the function, and it references that data against the stake list of message sender. Your wallet address. The OA has no power to end your stake. The code ensures it."
Right.
So
he's basically telling them, you know what? This is the code. This is what we got. Check it out. Alex, who's a developer, who's working, he's the Hadron, I'm not sure if he's the CEO or the founder of Hadron.
He's the founder. Yeah.
He's the founder, right? Yeah. So he clearly, tested the code and said that, look, man, that's not really ever gonna happen, and the code ensures that. So that's one thing. It's nice, we're bringing the facts and to see, because that's also a concern for Matty. And then the guys here are looking through the code and it's like, that's not gonna happen. But I think the one thing, one of the good probably or valid points is that those users would get forked out. That's the indirect way of whoever mints some Hadron. The OA knows who minted Hadron, is gonna go whenever we fork it into Pulse Chain. Everyone, the OA is gonna look at whoever minted Hadron and be like, okay, so you guys actually minted some Hadron. You're trying to end your stake in some indirect way using this. So okay, all right, we're not gonna give you what we're gonna fork you out of the blockchain, which would be terrible. So
yeah, so there's been no indication from Richard that he would do that, and as we see that the hex code is in fact immutable and the hex origin address cannot emergency unstake you. So just understand that this is likely a whole lot of FUD in regards to the emergency unstake. Sure, Matty may have some valid concerns in the fact that maybe Hadron does indeed detract from hex. That's maybe an open question. Alex has put in a lot of time and effort to create some game theory to make it so that Hadron adds to hex and doesn't detract from it, but it's still an open question. The market's going to decide. So that's that's perfectly fine to argue about and speculate about. But when Matty goes so far as to say that the hex origin address might emergency end stake you, might fork you out of Pulse Chain, I mean that's going a step too far. I don't think there's any reason to think that's going to happen. There's been no indication from the Richard or origin address that could happen. And as we can see, the hex code is immutable and the origin address cannot emergency unstake you.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Look, man, guys, we actually brought in Alex, who's the founder of Hadron, to the channel. We really went into the technicals and the overall view. We zoomed out on what Hadron is actually trying to accomplish. And I think they're going to bring a lot of users to the space in general. So go check it out. We'll link it somewhere here just so we don't forget for you guys to actually see. And, try and see if you actually trust the system or not, if you trust Hadron, whatever they stand for. And you can actually check out the audit. We'll leave the white paper in the description below for people to check it out. Is it a malicious attack on the blockchain? I don't think so. Is it something where they're going to bring new users to the blockchain? I think so. I know they brought me. I'm
such as you, right?
That's what I'm saying. So again, am I a degenerate? Am I someone who has paper hands or weak hands? Call it whatever you want to call it, right? I'm staking hex right now, right? Which I've never done before. Now I'm gonna stake hex, so that's something, right? But yeah, man, I think it's pretty crazy to see.
Yeah, look, so just to kind of summarize here, Matty thinks that anything where you can extract value from a hex stake early detracts from what the hex system is and is all about. But with Hadron, the whole point of Hadron is to bring in a bunch of new users and a bunch of new stakers who wouldn't have otherwise, which outweighs any potential negative implications that the Hadron protocol could have brought. At least that's the game theory, right? We don't know how things will work out in reality, but Hadron and Alex put in some effort to make Hadron bring more value than it detracts. But we'll see at the end of the day. Those are the concerns. We thought we'd bring it up, just address some of the concerns, some of the valid concerns, some of the FUD. And yeah, you guys come to your own decisions.
And there's no disrespect to Matty. We love him. We love him. We love what he's doing, and we see all the hard work he puts in. So much love for you and the whole team, obviously. But these are just things that we need to kind of put in place. So
yeah,
it's with all due respect, I guess.
And it's okay for people to disagree with each other. It's all right. We're
supposed to just start breaking.
I want to break about ideas. Right now, we're just talking about ideas. When there's nothing here is personal. We're just debating and talking about ideas. And so in that effort, maybe we should talk about some more ideas in regards to liquid loans, because there's also been some liquid loans FUD. So why don't I share my screen here and we can talk about some of the liquid loans FUD. So look, man, there's been a large popular Twitter thread by Tech Dolphin where we brought up some interesting valid points about liquid loans. Now, there is a lot here, but perhaps we should maybe try to summarize some of the criticisms we've been hearing about liquid loans. What do you think?
Yeah, no, let's start with that. I mean, there's a lot been happening with liquid loans in general. There's a lot of questions that came up, but that's besides what's happening with Hadron. Specifically with liquid loans, there's a lot of, I don't know if I call it FUD, I would say some valid concerns.
Sure.
And I think, it's been all over the place on Twitter, but I think Tech Dolphin, which, shout out to you and whoever actually, was a part of this thread on Twitter, I think he really put everything into place. So let's just go through it real quick.
Yeah, so look, one of the main criticisms we've been hearing about liquid loans so far is that there's been no code audit, no review quite just yet. So, if you're sacrificing, giving up your money in the hopes that you're going to soon get the liquid loans token, well, that's all, well and good, but there's no code, no audit. So that is kind of a problem. And I think that's actually a totally valid thing to bring up, that, there's a greater degree of risk because there's been no code, no audit quite just yet. Now the liquid loans team has said that will be released, but it hasn't happened quite just yet. So if you are getting into liquid loans, just understand that there is a greater risk factor given that there's been no code, no audit quite just yet.
Right, and I think that's also going with the timing as well. We obviously brought in Alex to the channel, guys. So also check that out. We have a couple interviews with Alex, just getting to the details. Maybe that's something we should probably bring him at one point and actually speak to him about it, because definitely the timing that's coming up with this as well, where we're having a current, it's the sacrifice phase for liquid loans was running parallel with Pulse Chains, with Pulse X's sacrifice phase as well. So that's bringing, I think, a lot of concerns, man. It's probably raising some flags between the community members, and it's definitely something that we probably need some sort of clarification as to why the choice of timing was during this time, before the testnet, before having some sort of front end, before having a platform ready. So it's definitely something interesting.
Right. So I guess the criticism is that liquid loans may be detracting from PulseX, where money that could have gone into PulseX will not go into liquid loans because they chose going to run at the same time.
Right.
Look, man. Yeah, I don't know. Does that really? Look, by the time liquid loans launched, the PulseX SAC phase rate had already dramatically increased. And I think the vast majority of people that were going to sacrifice for PulseX had already sacrificed by the time liquid loans got going here. So, look, I don't know if that's truly the strongest argument in the world. I mean, if it's a point of concern for you, that's understandable. But for me, I don't know, it seems like a small thing. I mean, they also brought up the point of why only accept stablecoins. For me, man, it kind of makes sense why liquid loans is only accepting stablecoins, because one of the major features about liquid loans is to create this USDL token that's backed by Pulse Chain, where a lot of these other stablecoins are fractionally reserved, or they reserved with other cryptocurrencies,
different combination of assets, basically.
Exactly, different combinations of assets. Where liquid loans is trying to create a superior stablecoin. So it kind of makes sense that they would accept stablecoins as a sacrifice. They're creating this new, better one where you're getting rid of the old shitty stablecoins. I don't know, man. It kind of makes sense to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I really can't see it as being such a huge red flag, but I can see how someone would actually have some sort of concern with it. That's what it is for me, to be honest. I don't know even if it was the sacrifice phase with after, we could have came up with a bunch of red flags to why it's actually after, not before. But obviously, I think it would have been probably a lot better, having the code, having the audit, having everything after the testnet, just to see how the protocol performs, then actually getting people to sacrifice. I think that would have been a better timing. But then again, them and the developers definitely have some sort of roadmap or view of how to launch this. So we'll ask them next time they come on the channel.
Yeah, and look, maybe just to summarize as well, there was also a comment, I believe, about how Liquidity, which is the fork, which is the liquid loans fork, which is the protocol currently existing on Ethereum, had very poor price performance. Now, look, in response to that, I think liquid loans is different, because the way I view liquid loans is I think the team behind liquid loans has the ability to actually pull off what Liquidity was trying to achieve. Where Liquidity created the idea where you can create a collateralized loan against your cryptocurrency, right? But they weren't very good at marketing. Nobody really knows about it. The Telegram group was tiny. I mean, liquid loans doesn't even exist, and their Telegram group is orders of magnitude larger than Liquidity. Same with their Twitter. They have a team that's very, very good at marketing. It seems to me like liquid loans took an idea that was great, but that didn't really, get a lot of traction. But now with their marketing, now they have the ability to actually bring this to market and actually get mass adoption. At least that's the way I think about it. And in terms of price as well, I mean, I don't view liquid loans as necessarily the next 100x altcoin. Like, for me, the price is a secondary consideration. The reason why I think liquid loans is interesting is because the ability that you can stake it and earn interest in Pulse Chain. I see liquid loans as a staking coin where the primary value proposition is not necessarily the price performance. The price may perform subpar compared to Pulse Chain and PulseX. That's fine. In my opinion, it's the staking rewards that's the true value proposition with liquid loans and Liquidity, which is why I think caring about the price is maybe a secondary consideration.
Look, man, I think it's pretty clear. We need a money market on Pulse Chain, and turns out that liquid loans is the one that have it. We need lending and borrowing. That's pretty much it. I got some Pulse. I want to, borrow. I want to put it up for collateral. Get some, get my staking token. Compound all of that. Get some Pulse put it somewhere else, provide liquidity, whatever I need to do, and actually earn some sort of rewards on it. That's how I see it. There's nothing else. It's extremely simple money market. All blockchains have outside of Hex. All blockchains have it with Aave and everywhere else. We need it on the blockchain. It's very simple. Whether now the biggest concerns is there a Richard Hart project or no? Look, man, Richard haven't really brought anything up to regards to that. The community came in then and tried to fill the gap. That's pretty much it. Maybe when Pulse Chain comes out, Richard's probably gonna have some sort of projects for as a money market to lend and borrow. So be it. When it comes out, it comes out. So far, we have liquid loans. There's an economy there. There's a market there, and it's just pretty nice to see, man. There's developers on the blockchain. Period. They're trying to have different utilities. Period. That's what it is. We need to grow out of the, this is it and this is it only, right? There's a lot more outside the box we're currently in, and I love to see more developers come into the blockchain and try to do their thing, even if it's gonna mess up. That's how it is. That's my point.
Yeah, 100%. And guys, whether we like it or not, we need to get comfortable with the fact that there's going to be dozens, if not hundreds, of projects coming over to the Pulse Chain and building and growing. So I think we should, try and put a lot of effort to maybe avoid over-the-top hysteria and FUD when there's no reason to think that it would happen, and perhaps focus on more constructive, legitimate criticisms like what we're seeing here with Tech Dolphin. I mean, these are all very valid points of consideration. And to kind of wrap up on the liquid loans point here, which is sure, if you're sacrificing, guys, there's a lot of unknowns here, right? Like, we don't have all the things we would like to have. We don't have a testing. We don't have a code audit. We don't know for sure how many people are going to be actually taking out loans. We don't know what the APY rates will be. You're betting on an idea and on a team. There's a lot of unknowns here. So, if you are participating, just know what you're getting yourself into, right? This is a very early stage of the project. So just know what you're getting yourself into.
One thing I would love to see right now, which we haven't really checked out, I just want to see how many people, or how much was actually sacrificed to liquid loans. Because if we have like 1 billion for Pulse Chain, there's probably 1% of that going to liquid loans, then let's just relax with it, man. It's not really that.
Yeah, I think we're at over 20 million here with liquid loans here.
20 million?
Yeah, 27 million.
Yes, okay, man. This is extremely insignificant compared to the 1 billion for Pulse X. Let's not lose our minds.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, look, folks. If you want to participate in liquid loans, we have a referral link down in the description below. I think there's 1 day left before the SAC rate increases. So make sure if you want to get in, use the link, 5% bonus. Any final thoughts, man?
Hey, man, innovation can't be stopped. Decentralization means no control. That's what Hex is all about. That's what the Hex community is building. New developers coming in. All of us should be very happy to see these people come in and try to make it a better place. Let's help them out. Let's give them our support. Thank you guys for watching. I don't know. Check out the links in the description below. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Do whatever you got to do, man, because, it's getting real. Things are happening on the blockchain, and Brendan's not drinking water as he should be.
That was a whole glass of water. Yep.
Okay, never mind, bro. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Yo, listen, man. I just called him because, look, man. It's been 2 weeks. You said you'd pay me back. It's just $5, man. It's key. It's kind of like been an ongoing issue. So I'm just calling to see if I can get my money back.
Yeah, no, I got you, bro. I got you, man.
Oh.
I got you.
Okay, great. When do you think you'll be able to pay me back?
Just $5?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's probably closer to 15 at this point. You keep asking for $5 here, $5 here. It kind of adds up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. You say 2 weeks. It's been 3. It kind of adds up after a while.
I don't feel like you just put all your life savings in that. So that makes I got you. I understand. I do understand the predicament.
Well, it's not. It's more just that you borrowed money from me. You asked for $5, and you said you'd pay me back in 2 weeks. It's been like 4 weeks.
There's people like that. I'm not fucking with you. I told you.
Oh man.